And good evening or afternoon or morning, depending on where you are around the world. I am excited to be here in this VIP takeover, VIP Reader Live. I am live on the LitRing VIP Readers page. Thank you, Becky and team, for all that you've done to allow me to have this takeover spot on Friday evening. I'm Marcus Holmes, a brand new author. And my book is entitled The Gratefulness Journey. Every day, what are you doing in the next 30 days to transform your life? And I want to thank you for watching me and sharing in with me in this time. I hope that you will drop in the comments where you are around the world and what the weather is like around the world where you are. I'm excited to be here. Good evening. I see some folks on Facebook. Sandra D has joined us, and I want you to, if you will, click like on the VIP Readers page, just so that they know that my takeover is worth coming back. Maybe I'll get a chance to come back. And I'm excited to be on this authors page where there are best-selling authors, and there are also new authors like me and great readers, aficionados who love to read. And so I hope that you will drop in the comments, Carolyn, loving my single. Arlie, thank you for coming. I hope you will click share and tag someone to come and join us. We intend to have a great time this evening. Really want to give you the opportunity to learn a little bit about me, those of you that might not. Learn a little bit about my journey in writing this book. And I'm going to share some of the other authors that I like to read and some excerpts from some of their writings, as well as to show you some of the pictures of the characters in the book. And there are some opportunities for giveaways. So it just wouldn't be right if we didn't have some giveaways, right? So you'll have an opportunity, hopefully, to win a few things. So why don't you take a moment and click share and drop in the comments just to let me know that you are there and will track with us throughout. I have the privilege, and pleasure to engage our LinkedIn Live viewers, to engage our other Facebook viewers and YouTube event viewers to join us on this prestigious page of the VIP. LitRing has caused my Friday night to be lit by allowing me to join in, and I hope that the lit audience will chime in as well. So I'm certainly going to just check across pages. I'm on the Restream platform so that I can see all comments that might be coming in. So I encourage you to leave comments as we go throughout. And hey, I know you may not be able to stay for the entire event, but pop in, pop out, pop in, pop out. But don't miss the opportunity to win some great prizes. So I'm just checking across the comments because I want to make sure that my lit VIP folks are okay on here. I see me. All right, very good. And so I hope that you will just drop in and just share with us. Again, available on Amazon right now. I'm just holding up a play card of the book. The paperback just came out yesterday. And so you can order it online, paperback or ebook. For those of you that want to have it in your hand, you can do that as well. For our first icebreaker, they say in the VIP readers room that you all love pets, your furry babies, your furry friends. And I don't have a furry friend, but I do have a furry friend in a sense. And so I'm going to put up my picture of my furry friend, and I'd like for you to drop in the comments a picture of your furry friend. Now, if you don't have a furry friend and you're a teacher, maybe you have a teacher's pet. Or if you just have your beautiful sons or daughters, or godchildren or nieces or nephews, drop a picture of those persons. I'm going to bring up a picture of a furry friend, and it really is my niece Autumn, who is like my daughter. She has her and her friend co-parent this gorgeous dog. She is named Blue. Here's Blue. And Blue is just growing and growing and growing. So that's me, Blue and Autumn, after we were feeding Blue. Blue, once you feed Blue treats, Blue dances around and comes back and looks at you in the face as if she's dancing for more treats. So this is my furry friend, and I hope that you will drop in the comments your furry friend so we'll get an opportunity to meet your furry friend. I'll give you a chance to do that. Grab it from your photos and drop in the comments as we keep moving forward. So, book is out, first time author, but I want to tell you about this Detroit guy. That's right, I'm from the Midwest, a brand new author that although this is my first book to market, it's not the first book that I have written. This is book number 4. I am working to finish up the other books. And if anybody has started out on something like writing, you know that you can have writer's block. You can forget to dedicate the kind of time that you need to do, maybe to build scenery and imagery and all of the things that go into a great writing. And so that has happened to me. But this book that I wrote, I started just last year. I'm going to say just last year because you may be surprised to know that the other writings started as early as 2007. But this book came as a result of the Gratefulness Journey Everyday movement born here on Facebook through the Love and Stuff community. Give me some shouts out if you're in the Love and Stuff community. That came from the Love and Stuff community, and I decided that I should put this in writing, the impact of my journey. I think it helps for people to understand me a little better and helps for people to be able to use that book as a tool for their own gratefulness journey. So far I've been working on 4 books, and this 4th book is the first out. So last in, first out. It's to market, and I'm so excited. And thank you so much. This week it's been the #1 new release in self-help short reads. It's a short read. I wanted to keep it short and sweet and simple so that you would have a practical tool to be able to use to impact your gratefulness every day. And I want to expand upon it with a gratefulness series of books and a gratefulness course. So I wanted to start there, and I'm so glad that I was able to start there. Hello, I see that people are on LinkedIn joining us, and I'm trying to make sure that your comments are populating with the group, but I will moderate across platforms. We're live here on LitRing, VIP readers, and you're here making it lit. And so that book started last year, just shortly after the pandemic hit. And voila, here we are. But my first book, which will probably be the last to come to market, is a fiction book. I've got a great love for fiction. And I read a lot of different types of books. I don't see any pictures yet in the comments, so I hope that you will drop a picture of your furry friend. I will show mine again if that will help you to prompt to drop a picture of your furry friend in the comments so that I can see them. I'm trying to make sure I can see them. And so, wonderful. Thank you for joining us. Just drop in the comments your name so that I can see it tracking. I want to make sure that Restream is doing its job and I'm capturing all of the comments, but it'll be my pleasure to go from platform to platform. I have no qualms with that. I'm excited that you are here and joining me. And I hope that you will click share and tag someone to join in this discussion. My first book is fiction. My second book is fiction. My third book is really based on a true story of one of the Love and Stuff community members. It's called All Shades of Beautiful, the story of Sonia Charisse, but it's really just the essence of her story. All of the characters are not Sonia Charisse, but shout out to Sonia Charisse. It's a book for little girls on colorism. So my writings are going across all kinds of places. All right. So Sandra says no furry friend for her. Catherine, no furry friend for her. But I bet Sandra has nieces and a nephew. Catherine has a nephew she adores. And so they're not furry friends, but they're your babies. And so you can drop them too, because what I've come to learn is that people love their furry friends as their babies. They call them fur babies. They love them as their babies. So drop a picture of those nephews and nieces, because while they're not fur babies, no, but people who have fur babies believe that those fur babies are as much their children as you believe your nieces and nephews are yours. And so drop a picture of them. I'd be happy to see that in the comments. And so I have this love for fiction. I love fiction. I always have. I've always loved to read. My mother, bless her memory, loved to read the Bible. And my mother would read the Bible over and over, from front to back, over and over and over again. And my sister Vanessa, bless her memory, loved to read. And I believe that that is where I got the love to read. Though I don't read as much as I used to, I still love to read. But I think that love to read came from Vanessa, my sister Vanessa, and she passed it down to her daughter Tammy. Vanessa would sit in the corner of the living room or the family room, and everything else could be going on around her, and she would be fixated on a book. She loved to read. And so I think from my early years, because I adore my sister Vanessa, I still speak in present tense, even though she's on the other side. I adore her. And so most things that she would have loved to do would have been things that I would have loved to do. And I loved to read. And so I'm going to share some of the authors that have influenced me as we go through this journey tonight. And I'm just going to stop and just share one small author that I like, who is also was a great preacher. His name was Billy Graham. Give me some likes or love if you've heard that name before. And he had a book called Wisdom for Each Day, an inspirational day spring, day brightener. And I've read it over and over again, but on March 19th, which is today, I'm going to read you what's here for March 19th. It says, Jesus sums up God's love with only 2 commandments. Love the Lord, your God, and love your neighbor. And he used a special, all-encompassing word for love, a word that includes everyone. We are to love our neighbors. He said, even though they may have a different skin color, ethnic background, or language, even though they look different, walk differently, or act differently. We are also to help our neighbors who are poor. The gospel of Christ has no meaning unless it is applied to those who are in need. Love is not a passive word. It is an action word. We are to love by our actions. And the scripture reference is Luke 10:27. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Now, you might think that I planned this day for this scripture, but I did not. And those of you that follow in the Love and Stuff community, you know that that's all we talk about. Mostly we talk about love and stuff, but loving God with everything you have, loving yourself, and loving your neighbor. And this sums that up. It just happened to be the scripture of the day. How awesome and honorable is that? And so I would, because my mother loved to read the scripture. Now, my mother wasn't a good singer. They say speak well of the dead, but my mother wasn't a good singer, but she would still try to sing. And you could hear her humming hymns of the church as she was cooking or cleaning or whatever she was doing, but she also loved to read. So I credit the 2 of them for that love to read. But my dad also loved to read, and he would read the newspaper from the front to the back. And he loved to talk and pontificate, I call it, on everything that was in the news. He loved to read. And so I think that is something that is a part of our family structure. And I hope to carry it forward. I'm 50, soon to be 51. I believe I'm not too old to get married and have children. So I just want to put that out there. I have a daughter, Autumn, and she'll probably freak out to think that she could have a little brother or sister. But I'm not opposed to it, but because I want to pass down those rich traditions. And I see that my niece Tammy is here, and her mom was awesome. And I love you too. And thank you for purchasing my book. I ask that all of you purchase the book, of course, because I want everybody in the world. I know that's lofty, but I want everybody in the world to understand the power of gratefulness, because I have personally experienced it. And I've personally been in places where I was very disappointed and very angry and very frustrated and very broken and very hurt from the things that I experienced in my life. And those things permeate your health, and they permeate how you show up in the world. And so I found myself showing up in the world as 2 different people. One person who I think is the authentic person, who is the kindest soul you ever want to meet. and another person who carried some of that anger and frustration forward. And it can happen to anybody. It can even happen to me today. But gratefulness helps me to repurpose that energy and to reshape it and to reframe it so that who I truly am is the person that shows up all the time. If you want more of that in your life, that's why I want you to read this book, because you can have more grateful living. You can endure hardship and still come through and not necessarily come through bitter, broken, and hurt. You might be, and it won't be the worst thing if you do, but you can still regain control of that. And that's what, in part, the book is about. And so it came to be. Sandra D says, love what I'm reading so far on chapter 5. I love Sandra D. Thank you so much. Keep reading, keep reading. Like I said, it's some tough stuff up front. I had to give you some of the tough stuff, but because I decided that it's going to be a gratefulness series, Sandra, I didn't give you all of the details of all of the losses. They're voluminous. My relationships with the people in the book are voluminous, even though some of them, in my opinion, were taken away far too early. But I have countless stories that I wrap around gratefulness and the lessons that they really taught about gratefulness that I hope to share with the world. So I gave a little smidget of everybody those lessons that I learned in the hopes that it might both whet your appetite and get your mind on reset about what these 3 steps and principles are. And I'm not going to read you the 3 steps and principles because I want you to get the book. But if you've been on our gratefulness journey every day, you kind of have heard them. You just haven't heard much of the psychology behind them. And I try to put it in a simple way. I'm not a gratefulness guru. I'm not a licensed psychologist, though I've been to a couple of them, and I talk slightly about that in the book. But I think I know enough about the psychology and researched enough about the psychology to provide you a good framework to understand what you need to do to create the kind of grateful living that will change incrementally over time. And it's not, you might not recognize right now you're changing. Right now there's an evolution, but you don't notice it right away, right? If you've ever had a pimple or a bump, you noticed it when it was either hurting or it could be noticeable, but that bad boy was growing, right? And so it's the same with our evolution and change. We're in motion. We just don't notice the incremental, very small things that are happening. Well, that's the exact same thing with the gratefulness journey. By 30 days, you'll be looking and saying, I wonder what's different, but you'll be developing a habit around gratefulness, and it'll become lockstep and second nature to you. And that's what the book is about at large. And so I wanted to, one more time, because I'm going to check the comments. I don't see those pictures rolling in. I'm going to show my furry baby, though. Blue is not mine. Blue is Autumn's furry baby, and Autumn and her friend are co-parents to Blue. That's a whole nother story. But Blue is so adorable. Blue runs in the door. After the first time she brought Blue over, and Blue grew very quickly. She brought Blue over. Blue came in like, I live here. I was like, well, I like you already. You know how to make yourself at home. But what I loved about Blue is when we went in the kitchen, Blue knew how to pay attention and eat my treats and then turn around and come back like, okay, are there more treats? And after I stopped giving treats, Blue would just come next to my leg, kind of like, sucking up to me, like, come on, give me some more treats. And I fell in love with it, but with her. And I told Autumn, because Autumn has wanted a dog for a long time. I said, because I'm not home enough to care for a dog, I do not want to have a dog be lonesome waiting for me at home. That would be the worst thing to do. And so, of course, in this season, we've all been home, so it might have been different. But Blue is my furry baby, and I'm just going to throw up my furry baby one more time with Autumn. These are my 2 furry babies. No, Autumn's not a furry baby. Autumn is my baby. She's Uncle's baby. She's the sweetest, sweetie girl in the whole wide world. And she's 22, but I still tell her, you're the sweetest, sweetie girl in the whole wide world, because it's true. And that's Blue. She's holding Blue up. And we had just given Blue some treats. And Blue is looking in the camera like, okay, let me take a quick picture because I want more treats. Drop in the comments your furry baby. I want to see who your furry baby is, and join us I appreciate it. Join us so much. I appreciate you so much. I'm going to just check in on LinkedIn. I don't see my LinkedIn comments, but I know that there are some folks here from LinkedIn. So I want to make sure I'm acknowledging you. And I didn't see those folks in the comments there. So let me just make sure I'm following those comments there. All right. I appreciate it. Join us so much. Okay. Hello, Jeff. Thank you for joining us. All right. I'm trying to make sure that the comments are populating everywhere. And so thank you. That's my furry baby. I hope you will drop yours. And if you don't have a furry baby, if you have your daughter, your son, your godson, goddaughter, your niece, your nephew, that's like your baby. You're a teacher and you have a classroom full of kids, and you might just drop that in the comments. So drop in the comments wherever you are something about your furry baby or your baby. Catherine's on the laptop. I got you. That's okay. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I appreciate all of you for joining. All right. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. I'm just tracking across platforms. And thank you again. We're springboarding today from LitRing, excuse me. We are in a takeover of the platform, and we're thanking you so much, Becky and everybody at LitRing, for having us here on the platform as we are just doing an author spotlight to let you know a little bit about me. So I'm going to open it up just now. If you want to drop in the comments any questions, I'll give you the chance to do that while I'm going to queue up one of the readings that I'm going to do. These will be short readings from different authors that I like, just to give you an idea of some of the things that might have informed my writing. And remember, when you're hearing that, there are 4 books so far. Of course, the Gratefulness series are more books. So it's 4 and more. And just to whet your appetite, of course, this is the Gratefulness Journey every day. What are you doing in the next 30 days to transform your life? It's available on Amazon in both ebook and paperback. Okay. So that's book number 4, and it's the first to market. Book number 3, which will be the second to market, is All Shades of Beautiful, Sonia Sharice's story. So Sonia Jordan and I went to middle school together. And I don't have her picture here to drop, but Sonia is drop dead gorgeous. And as gorgeous as she is, if you look at her page, she has been since she was 12 or however old we were when we went into middle school. She's this fair-skinned girl with green eyes, and she's a voluptuous figure, even well-developed when we were 11 and 12. I had no idea during that time that she was experiencing the effects, negative effects of colorism, that darker skinned and more brown skinned girls treated her poorly, and Caucasian girls treated her poorly. She didn't know where she fit in. I had no idea all of these years until I had her on a Love and Stuff episode, and she shared so candidly what that did to her. I decided that I was going to write a book. And I started writing a book, a colorism book for girls, because I believe it's so important that we show our girls and boys how beautiful shades and hues make up the world, that God made no mistakes in allowing the shades and hues of the world. And I wanted every little girl to know that she is beautiful and not to experience what I did not know that Sonia was experiencing. So that's book number 2. But it was, book number 3, but it's going to be to market number 2. And you can probably look for that by the beginning of the summer. It should be out. And we will hopefully be able to circulate that with a lot of young ladies to help build healthy esteem for them to know whatever shade you are, it's beautiful. Book number 2, which will be book number 3 to market, it's called The Boardroom. The Boardroom. Oh, I forgot my other fur baby, my guy baby. That's right, Jan. You have to get me a pic. I got to figure out how I can upload it. Email it to me and I can upload it. Carter is my other fur baby. I've never had the chance to hold Carter yet, but he's in Memphis, Tennessee. And my dear cousin, Jan Holmes Boyd, thank you for joining us, has a fur baby Carter that I'm in love with. How could I forget my Carter? Send me a picture so that I can share Carter. I don't know if it's because we're on a live that we can't drop the pics. I thought we could. At least that's one of the things I know in this group. They love different things like that. And so I wanted to see the pics. I might have to have you email them to me or inbox me with them at Marcus R Holmes so I can give out the first prize to the best pick of the best baby or fur baby. I'm not going to discriminate. So if you send me an inbox of your nephew or niece, hey, I'm going to just choose the cutest pick. So make sure you do that if you can't drop them here. Inbox me at Marcus R Holmes. And so Carter, hug Carter for me. Book number 2. That will be book number 3 coming out. I hope you're following I hope you're following me. Book number 2 is entitled The Boardroom. Now, for those of you that know me, I am a human resources professional. I call myself the HR passion guy, and I hope that you will call me that too. I'm passionate about human resources. I really am. And this book is kind of a period piece of a time in Detroit's history where certain events were occurring, but many of the characters have been changed around and some events have been changed around so that this book is truly a fiction book. It's inspired by a real life story, but it really is fiction. Some of the events are not true events, and some of the events have picked items from things that have happened that were true. Okay? That's right, Catherine. HR passion guy. Catherine knows that because she used to be on the other side of the table from me. And though we had spirited discussions in the interests of good labor management relations, I love Catherine and I have been spirited, right? At that table, advocating, right? D'Angelo, Malcolm, and all of those AFSCME representatives and other unions will tell you, boy, that Marcus Holmes is a treat beyond dessert. I'm a spirited negotiator, at least, okay? But HR passion guy nonetheless. And so the boardroom is written around these 13 HR rules that kind of govern how we interact in our system. It's called the civil service rules. And I really only use 13 of them, though there are 18, but some of them have been abolished and some of them are obsolete. That's another story. But I use 13 of them for 13 chapters plus an interlog or interquel, like a in between books, special chapter. And they kind of describe what was happening, what happens in organizations sometimes. That's book number 2 that I started, but it will be 3rd to market. And book number 1 that I started around 2007 is called In the City of Our God. It's a young man's quest for righteousness and love as he travels through 7 types of denominations of churches. And that has been inspired by true story, but it is fiction. The characters have been made up. And again, I've cherry picked from real life situations that I have been told or experienced, meaning seen for myself. None of these are autobiographical in any way. Nothing but love, Catherine. I love you. And I know everybody, you grow to love me. That's what it is. It's a grow to love me. And so thank you so much. And I appreciate you for being here and all of you for being here. And if you want to win that first prize, the first prize, which is a $15 gift certificate to Amazon. Now, it's not just that because I want you to buy the book. You don't have to buy the book. It's not rigged that you have to buy the book. You can buy anything on Amazon, but it will be a $15 for the cutest pick of your furry baby, of your actual, I won't say your actual baby because I don't want dog lovers to think that I don't regard your dogs as babies. They're your babies. But whatever baby, send me that baby pic, inbox it at Marcus R Holmes on Facebook or on LinkedIn, and I will make a judge hopefully before the evening is over and announce the prize winner. So thank you for that. And so I love reading. And I'm next going to go into a couple of readings, and then I'm going to come back and show you some pictures of the characters in my book so that you'll see some of the pictures of the actual people. Now, I'm really showing not just the mentions, because there are other people mentioned in my book, but I'm really showing the people in the book who have gone on the other side. And that's the most that I'm really going to tell you, because I'm writing some things about them. I'm just going to tell you a little blurb about them that's not in the book, because I want you to get the book. And it is a short read. It's only, I think, 70 pages. And if you get into it, you'll be into it. And what I want you to do is write in it. And at the end of the book, there's a link for you to get you a free gratefulness journey everyday journal. If you like to write down your gratefulness, which might be a great idea if you decide to do that. It's enough for 4 months in that free PDF or free Word document, courtesy of the HR Passion LLC, who's the publisher, courtesy of me. And so I appreciate that. All right, so click share. We have some numbers here, but I want more people to join us. And again, I understand if you pop in and pop out, but you never know. When you pop out, it might be the time that we're going to do a quick giveaway. So I want to make sure that you're around to do that. So I'm going to go into one of the first novels, and I'm just reading a short chapter. It won't be a long chapter. It's almost a whole page and a half. Just short readings out of some of the books that some of the authors that I like. Anybody ever heard of James Patterson? Give me some likes or loves in the comments if you've heard of James Patterson. I love James Patterson books, have for quite a while. I'm going to be sharing from 2 of them today. When I think of fiction, sometimes I think of how Alex Cross, who's one of the detectives in his book, might act out things. Should I write it in first person or third person? I'm often looking at some of the patterns of how James Patterson brings to life, at least for me, puts me in the scene of something that is happening. And I love to read it. I haven't been reading as many James Patterson books. I've been reading more self-help books to, just up my learning and development personally. But what a good book does for me is it takes me out of my current world and puts me into somebody else's world, and it opens up my mind. It opens up my mind around the things that I think about. If you're a person that doesn't travel much, you should read a lot, because reading gives you the opportunity to travel to places and think about things differently. I encourage it for children. I encourage it for adults. You're never too old to pick up a book and start reading. Ask Autumn. I'm telling Autumn all the time, because she wants to soon go to law school. Honey, bury your head in books, because I love to read. And again, my sister Vanessa, my mother, my dad, everybody likes reading, but they loved reading. And Tammy picked up that same love. My niece Tammy, who is Vanessa's daughter, that same love for reading, who Tammy could curl up with a good book like her mother. And when she was younger and did, because she wore glasses, she had the cute little glasses, I would think of her mother, because that's how Van was. I remember, Tammy, that Van could be in the family room with all the noise that we were making, just sitting in the corner reading. And I would be thinking, how could she be reading? But she enjoyed a book. And so I'm just going to read an excerpt. I'll tell you about the back of the book. This is Alex Cross. No, I'm not telling you to buy this instead of my book. Buy my book. James Patterson is going to be straight if you buy my book. But I wanted you to know some of the books I read. I love it. Can Alex Cross survive his most chilling and personal case ever? The book says. Pulled out of a family celebration, Detective Alex Cross gets awful news. A beloved relative has been found brutally murdered. Vowing to catch the killer, he quickly learns that she was mixed up in one of Washington, D.C.'s wildest scenes. And she was not this killer's only victim. The hunt for the murderer leads Alex and his girlfriend, Detective Brianna Stone, to a place where every fantasy is possible, if you have the credentials to get in. Soon they confront some very important, very protected, and very dangerous people who will do anything to keep their secrets safe. As Alex closes in on the killer, he discovers evidence that points to the unimaginable, a revelation that could rock the entire world. Who would not want to read that, right? And so just a short chapter in that, chapter number 113. So this is a longer read. Maybe one day I'll have long reads. Reads, shaken and exhausted, I got home around 4:30 that morning, maybe the last of my vampire hours for a while. If Bree wasn't already up, I was going to wake her and tell her what had happened, but she wasn't even there. Bree wasn't anywhere in the house. I realized this as soon as I saw Aunt Tia's big knitting bag on the floor by the kitchen table. Tia had come to stay with the kids, and St. Bree had gone to cover my overnight at the hospital. Of course she had. She wouldn't have wanted Nana to be alone any more than I did. I almost got back in the car, but it made more sense to spell Bree first thing in the morning and let Tia go home. We were stretched thin as it was. So I went upstairs and laid on top of the covers, wide awake and buzzing with everything that had happened, not just tonight, but in the past few weeks. The scope of it all was going to reverberate for months, even years, I was sure. We still didn't know how many others like Caroline there had been and maybe never would. Nor did we know the extent of the cover-up for Zeus or who had been doing the covering. Theodore Vance had been a successful and very rich businessman on his own. He'd had the resources to do whatever he wished or fantasized about. Apparently, that's exactly what he had done. Later in the day, I'd have to call my sister-in-law, Michelle. I'd also have to decide how much of her daughter's story I was going to tell her. Some of the details had no place in a mother's memory. Sometimes I wonder about the place they have in mine. It hadn't been half an hour since I'd gotten home, if that, when the phone rang out in the hall. I jumped up to catch it before a third ring. Considering the events of the past 24 hours, it might have been any number of people looking for me. Alex Cross? I answered in a whisper, and just like that, life changed again. Alex, it's Zadie Mitchell calling from the hospital. How soon can you get over here? And so I love how he creates these cliffhangers in every chapter and almost seamlessly weaves in a few words, the previous happenings in previous chapters. I love James Patterson books, and it's one of my favorite authors. Won't you drop in the comment if you're a reader, who are some of your favorite authors? Drop that in the comment right now. Again, I'm excited to be here on LitRing VIP Readers as an author spotlight. I am still saying to myself, you're an author, you're an author, you're an author. Author Marcus Holmes, author Marcus R Holmes. I'm still telling myself you're an author, you're an author. And I'm still taken aback a bit by it, excited by it, relieved that I got the book out, though I need as much marketing help as you can give. It's a grassroots effort. And so, word of mouth and reposting it, making a picture with the picture that I've given you, all are things that, can help me. If there are any authors on the page who are tuning in or watching, drop in the comments and tell me, hey, what should I be doing differently than maybe that you might advise differently than what I'm already doing. So I'm going to just check in with our guest hosting of the page and take a look. Okay. All right. All right. Because we are on Restream, all of the comments should be populating in one place, but I know that there are people on LinkedIn and I am not seeing your comments. So I'm going back and forth between that. I apologize. I'm not exactly sure what may be occurring there, but I hope that you will share widely. All right. And I'm getting a few pictures. All right. All right. I got a picture from Catherine Sanders, her number one, man. I'm gonna see if I can upload that so that I can show it. Okay. Herbert Anthony Sanders II, 2021 graduate from Milton Academy. He looks like he's ready to be president of something, Catherine. Excellent picture. And I'm going to click up to share it. I got some pictures of Carter too. All right. Give me a moment so I can upload those and include those pictures so that you can see them, and maybe you'll be included in helping to vote. Thank you for this encouragement. I've been writing my story since retirement. Oh, I'm telling you, it is real. Another author has just come in, Ingrid Poole. Hello. It is real. It is real, Catherine. On these first 3 books, I've had writer's block 3 or 4 times. And I kept, Kim Hall Wagner, who you know, has kept saying to me, where you at on the book? Where you at on the book? And she always teases me and say, okay, on the boardroom, take me out of the book. Don't let me be in that book. And I just smile because I will never say who is going to be what character, because a lot of the characters are fusions of people, right? But I wanted to get across some of the things that happen in organizations and how organizations deal with it, because whether you're in production or a service-oriented business, people are at the core of your strategy. So it's interesting how people interact, how people evaluate each other, how people connect and disconnect in relationship to each other. And so I use the rules to kind of be a structure for that, for my offering of my thoughts on that. So, and I get blocked sometimes. And then what I do is read sometimes, or I go to a separate place and I start to just hear other stories, and then they awaken that part of me that feels dry. That's the way I can describe it. It feels dry when I can't write beyond what I'm thinking. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. I don't want to put that in. And it's like some waters are refreshing every few months or every few years, or a new concept about one of the rules, or a new case will come where someone has written a grievance or has done some litigation. Of course, I can't use the details of the case, but the theory behind it might say, this is an interesting perspective. So I'll jot down and write on that, and I might get some more ideas about it. So I kind of have what the end in mind is, but it's that middle passage and constructing these chapters so that they kind of come together. I'm concerned, but I'm still writing it. And so it will probably be the 3rd book. I hope that it'll be a late 2021 offering. I hope it won't be another year before that one comes, but the colorism book will certainly come by the summer. And I'm hoping by late fall that we will be debuting the boardroom. And I think it will be an interesting read. Now, people are going to be asking me now, who is this character? You know, some people have already said, because I'm fusing even the pictures. I'm going to have some pictures in there. I've got somebody doing illustrations because I'm fusing different people together. So you might see somebody's eyes or something similar to somebody's eyes. It's my envisioning a fusion of the characters together. That's the best I can tell you without telling you some more about the book. There are some, I will call them racy scenes, R-A-C-Y, not racist, even though racism is in the book. But there are some racy scenes so it's not quite PG, but there are some scenes in there that you have to go, oh my word. Both in the 1st and 2nd book, there are some scenes. So Catherine says she can't wait for that one. All right, I wanted to give you a chance to drop some comments in. My senior associate producer, J. Gerald Harvey, just inboxed and said, slow down, you're so excited. And I am excited. I think I'm more excited that I can say the book is out, because I got to a place, and I want to encourage Catherine and anybody else that's like that. I got to a place where I thought it might never happen. I got to that place where I thought, I'm never going to finish this book. I'm never going to be satisfied with the cover. I'm never going to make it short enough. It's going to be too short. It's going to be too long. I can't find the right place in between. I'm trying to give too much science. I'm not giving enough science. I'm giving too many examples. I'm not giving enough examples. I'm giving some detail and I'm leaving some detail out. I should tell more. All of those decisions. And I had a wonderful editor. Karen Smith is a wonderful editor. Now, this is my first book, so I don't have a good gauge for what wonderful means to a bestseller. You make me a bestseller and we'll see. But what I liked is that she stayed true to what I wanted to do. And she encouraged me along the way to say, these are the edits that I think go with your niche and your genre, but you are in control of your finished product. You can tell me, no, change this back. This goes here. This doesn't go. That's not what I intended. Don't reword this. You can accept those changes or not accept those changes because this is your journey and you are in control. And I can't tell you the validation that gave to me as a first-time writer because I was, not sure what I was not sure about and not sure what, will they read it? Will they like it? Will they understand it? Will they appreciate it? And she said, it's your story to tell. Now, I'll do my best to help you tell it as engaging as it can be, but you have to read it and be excited. And you have to say it's reflective of your journey. And it is for me. It doesn't tell you everything in my journey. It's not an autobiography. I'm not done living. Prayerfully, I'm not. I wanted to give you some parts that might help you understand how grief and death and loss and discrimination, even how different things that can happen to you can impact how you show up and how you can take your power back and decide to do it differently. And it's not a perfect journey. Even today, I am still on this journey fighting to restore parts of that power and walk in the authority of gratefulness. That's why I don't use gratitude. The reason gratitude, I think, is overused and misunderstood because gratitude means the state of being grateful. It isn't being grateful. It's the state of being grateful. In order to achieve a state, you got to have moments and moments and moments of constant, consistent being. And that takes time. It's like you don't become an Olympian overnight, right? You have to start with exercise and training and walking, then running, right? The gratefulness every day is the walking. You're walking out gratefulness every day in the moment, every day. And you build that journey until it's a well-oiled machine and aspirationally you achieve the gratitude. So I wouldn't define gratitude so loosely to say it's being grateful. It's the state of being grateful. And to get a state of anything, it takes time. Being grateful is gratefulness. Being in a constant, consistent state of gratefulness is gratitude. And though those are used interchangeably, that's the nuanced difference that I would offer to you. Again, not as the positive psychology guru. I'm not a gratefulness guru yet, but I sure feel like I've gotten some tough education and lessons that I should be sharing with you and the world so that we can live a more grateful world. What kind of world would it be if we had more gratefulness? If we use that power of gratefulness, which can transform your brain, literally. There is science that shows that gratefulness has the power to transform paths in your brain, where your brain reorgs and creates shortcuts to get you to that same feeling that made you think faster, be more productive, sleep better, solve problems more effectively. Who couldn't use that in their lives? It will help you to build those relationships. I am excited again. We're at 6:48 and I've got more time here. And I'm excited to be the guest of LitRing today. And Becky and the team, thank you so much. And I am across platforms, and thank you for wherever you are watching. I'm cross-posting. And I'm going to check the inbox in a moment. I got 2 pictures. You can send to Marcus R Holmes on Facebook or Marcus R Holmes on LinkedIn. I showed my fur baby and my real baby. I showed Blue and Autumn Nicole. And if you have a fur baby or you have a baby like Catherine, who sent her baby as her nephew, handsome as he can be, looks like he's ready to run for president. And Jan Holmes Boyd sent her fur baby, Carter, who is my god fur baby. Send me some pictures of your fur baby or your baby so that we can make a decision if you will win the Amazon. First prize is our Amazon $15 gift card. And you don't have to buy the book, though the ebook is $6.99, by the way. The paperback is $11.99. You can buy either of those with that gift card, but you don't have to. You can buy whatever you want on Amazon. We will just need your email address and we will send you that gift card. And we'll make that decision, and we'll have a couple more prizes that we will give throughout the time. It is the gratefulness journey every day. I just have my placard here. This is what the actual cover looks like. I'm very pleased with what happened with the cover. I love it. Or this is a replica of the cover. It says Marcus R Holmes. I always put my middle initial, my SHRM, and which is the Society of Human Resources Management, and the Professional in Human Resources from the Human Resources Certification Institutes. Proud of my certifications, proud to be in human resources for over 24 years, almost 18 with the city of Detroit. Proud of the human resources profession, proud to be part of it, enjoy the work that I do as operations general manager with the city, and have held a number of different roles there as well. So just wanted to bring that in so you'll know a little bit about who I am. I'm a native Detroiter, born and reared here. I've traveled many places, mostly for training and for conventions, for church, for music, many places around the world, thankfully. But there is no place that I've ever been that I wanted to live in because I love living in Detroit. And so whatever you've heard about Detroit or continue to hear, it has its good, bad, ugly, and indifferent. I love it. I love butter made potato chips. I love me a cold Verner's. I love Detroit. And I am a Detroiter at heart. I hope you have that same love for the city wherever you are. Where are you around the world? I know there's some folks here from Detroit. There's some folks that are here from Raleigh, North Carolina, folks from all around. I ask that you will just drop in the comments where you are. Catherine says, just purchased it without the gift card. What do I get? Well, which did you purchase? Because I'm trying to work out something with Amazon to up our engagement that will help you get something special. So stay tuned for that. But, Amazon gets all of the customer information. I get none of it. And so if I'm not connected to you on one of these social medias, I really don't find out who's purchased the book unless you share the information with me. I just see that the book was purchased. But I hope to be able to do something that engages the readers, whether you bought an ebook or you bought the paperback. I want to do something special for you and with you, and we will have an opportunity, Catherine. We're working on it so that we can really share with the people who have shared with us. It means the world to me that people are purchasing the book. Oh, wonderful, Catherine. So somehow like I said, we're working on something that will, I think, engage readers and just add that extra to your sale. So join Catherine. See how quickly she got it? Click, click. Get that book. It's a small investment. Of course, I got to share it with Amazon. And then it helps to power things like the Love and Stuff community. And I can't shout them out enough. And the Gratefulness Journey movement, those that have been along this journey with us. Thank you for thinking enough of the journey to write and share with me how this journey has impacted you. And I hope as you read the book, you will understand more of my personal journey, which I, was trying to be as careful as I could not to share it all, but to share some of it. All right. I'm going to go back to some reading at 6:53. Let me know if you want less reading. I'll do it. I don't want to lose the folks that are watching. And I know some people might watch this and rewatch, and that's just fine. But I want to keep engaging with you. So drop in the comments and let me know. So people have sent pictures. People are going to tell me where they are around the country. Ingrid, where are you around the country? Ingrid's also a new author. And I'm going to slow it down just a hair. All right. Thank you for reminding me that I should slow it down. I'm slowing it down. Thank you. Somebody is joining us on the LitRing. Thank you. I hope you will drop in the comments who you are and where you are. All right. Fantastic. Okay. Okay, very good. All right, just wanted to make sure. All right, so this is another James Patterson. Maybe I'll switch it up. I'll come back to James Patterson. This book has been kind of worn, but I think you know who this guy is. How many times during the last 4 years did we want this guy back? I'm sorry if people don't like that, but uh, during these last 4 years, I was kind of like, "What you doing? You busy? Can you come back? You got some time? You got some time for us?" This is former President Barack Obama's #1 New York Times bestseller. Of course, he's on the bestseller list again. And I'm in a small you get to choose 2 categories initially. And in the larger category, I got to work on getting up. Yeah, because there are big heavy hitters in there, right? But I got aspirations to make a big heavy hit. But in the smaller categories, it's easier to get a bigger win when you all buy the book, but it doesn't speak to the sales volume. And that's what I'm trying to work on, sales volume. I want this to be a New York Times bestseller. And I can't do that without you all helping to share it. I promise. I can do all of the tips and tricks that I've been given over coaches than Kim Wash Phillips. And I don't want to start calling all of those names because I'm going to miss a name. I should have written them down. But different people have coached me along this indie author journey. Reedsy has been a great resource, REEDSY. Catherine, that's a great resource to go and learn about stuff. But it's going to require this grassroots efforts to take it to the next level, and you all to write reviews on the page so that people see. I didn't want to do what I know some people do. They get their friends, their street team to write reviews before the book hits and write good reviews so that when people go there, they see reviews. I didn't really want to do that because I feel like it's pressuring people while I'm still pressuring you, but at least it's after the book is launched and you could say, yes, I'm going to do a review. I might not actually do one. But I wanted it to be authentic and organic. I didn't want it to be manufactured. Not that I think any of my friends would write a bad review, but I didn't want it to be, okay, we got to hurry up and get these reviews out before the book is launched. People do that. I just didn't want to do it. I didn't feel comfortable doing that. Maybe that was not the best move. I don't know. But I wanted people to read it and say, this is a good book. For your first read or first time, thank you so much. That's what I wanted. I wanted people to understand it's a short read so that people wouldn't feel like, wow, I wanted more. I want you to want more. That's why you will buy the next series, I hope. When I come out with another gratefulness book, I want you to be like, oh, this. I should have read that first book. Let me go back and reread it because he's going to be highlighting different relationships from this book because your relationships can power your gratefulness. If you build you a grateful circle and enlarge that circle, you will have a grateful life. I'm giving you some stuff from the book. So I'm just going to read just a page, less than a page of this book, which is The Audacity of Hope. I am honored and impressed by former President Barack Obama. I know a lot of people have a lot of negative things to say about him. I do not. I know people say he's the reason that marriage equality happened and we're not a Christian nation anyway. But hey, listen, I don't think that God made it that we couldn't have choice. God wants us to choose him and his way. But God is not forcing us to choose him or his way. And he's not legislating him or his way. He's loving us without regard to the choices we make. So I think it's appropriate for a president to serve all of the people, even if serving some of those interests might not agree with Christian beliefs if we thought we were a Christian nation, but Christian beliefs that I espouse. It's my job as a Christian, a man of faith, to espouse what I believe, not necessarily the president. That's how I feel. And I stood behind him. My father, bless his memory, got to see him become president and said, I thought I'd never see it. He had a Southern drawl. I thought I'd never see it. So I was proud that we had an African American president. I'm reading from his book, The Audacity of Hope, Thoughts on Reclaiming the American Dream. And here he talks about family, which is very important to me. And you read my book and you'll see why it's very important to me. So on page 326, and I'm just going to read this page and part of the top and end there. He says, one day in February, I found myself in particularly good spirits, having just completed a hearing on legislation that Dick Lugar and I were sponsoring, aimed at restricting weapons proliferation and the black market arms trade. Because Dick was not only the Senate's leading expert on proliferation issues, but also the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, prospects for the bill seemed promising. Wanting to share the good news, I called Michelle from my DC office and started explaining the significance of the bill, how shoulder-to-air missiles could threaten commercial air travel if they fell into the wrong hands, how small arms stockpiles left over from the Cold War continue to feed conflict across the globe. Michelle cut me off. And of course, he's talking about former First Lady, his wife, Michelle Obama. This is what she said. We have ants. Huh? He says. She says, I found ants in the kitchen and in the bathroom upstairs. He responds, okay, ... She says, I need you to buy some ant traps on your way home tomorrow. I'd get them myself, but I've got to take the girls to their doctor's appointments after school. Can you do that for me? He responds, right, ant traps. She responds, ant traps, don't forget, okay, honey? And buy more than one. Listen, I need to go into a meeting. Love you. He says, I hung up the receiver wondering if Ted Kennedy or John McCain bought ant traps on the way home from work. I love this passage because he's trying to change and save the world. And his wife is saying, hey, you still the husband, you got a honey-do list. I love it that wherever and whatever station that you have in life, there is always something or someone that brings you to the reality that that's one facet of your life and that you still have a responsibility and role in your family. And give me likes or loves if you agree that nobody can treat you and remind you of that like family. Whether you are the lead negotiator on contracts, an HR passion guy, an owner of your own business, when you get home, you're still husband, wife, cousin, friend, uncle, aunt, niece, grandma, TT. You're still all of those things to those people. And doesn't it keep you honest? And doesn't it keep you grounded? Certainly, if it does that for the president, it's doing it for you and I. I love that. And I love his books as well. And again, he'll be all right if you don't buy this and you buy mine. he'll be just fine. But I want to share with you some of the things I read and some of the books that are of importance to me. Still drop in the comments books that you love to read. Who are some of your favorite authors? I see Carolyn Denise has joined us. Claim it, speaking to the atmosphere. That's what I'm doing, Carolyn. I really am. I believe that we are in latter times, but I believe that is all the more reason that we have to share love and we have to capitalize and leverage the power of gratefulness. It is powerful in organizations. It's powerful in communities. It's power for families. It's power for self. If you take these practices of gratefulness and incorporate them in your life, you're going to see transformative value brought into your life. So I so certainly concur with that. Drop in the comments all of your favorite authors. Those of you that love and like to read, drop in the comments. Who are your favorite authors? Who do you like to read? Ingrid, I can tell you this. I feel I feel so satisfied, yet I'm hungry. I feel like a part of purpose has been accomplished, and yet I see that there is so much to be done. And when I started out writing the gratefulness journey just last year, in case somebody is thinking, you can't write a book in a year. Yes, you can. Even though I got books that I started in 2007, so that's 14 years, right? That I need to complete, but you can complete it. Accomplished. I feel like I achieved something that I set out to do at a point that I thought Ingrid and others that I would never finish because I hadn't finished the others because I got such writer's block. And then sometimes it was sheer fear. Am I going to be a good enough writer? Because see, I don't want to just write something and nobody reads it. I want to write something that's a bestseller. And not just because it can give me the wealth that I want to do to turn things on its head in other areas of my life, because I want that too, but because I want what I read to be well received by readers, right? Because I can appreciate a good book. And so that's what I wanted. So sometimes it was fear. What if I put it out and it's not good enough? And so I let it trick me into stop writing. I put the pen down. I'll come back to it. I'll put other ventures ahead of it. And each time it will come back to me. If you've got something in your life that keeps coming back to you, or you have somebody in your life like a Kim Wagner who comes back to you and say, oh, by the way, how you coming with that book? And other people that I'd shared the book with, how you coming with that book? When am I going to be able to read it? It kept coming back to me. So I couldn't ignore it. And so now I have a hunger to finish those. But as I was writing the book and deciding on how much of content I was going to share, I came to, as I was in the edit process, that I could create a course from this, which is I'm working on an online course, and I could do a series of books on gratefulness with the volume of stuff, both from my human resources career. Now, some of the stories I can't give detail to because it was people's individual stories, but I can always shift the characters around, right? And my personal story in these relationships with these people, they taught me more lessons than I even shared in this small book. And so I'm going to have gratefulness around relationships, gratefulness with your siblings, gratefulness with your parents, gratefulness with your children, gratefulness with your coworkers and friends. All of those have informed me, good, bad, and indifferent, of what I'm walking out today in gratefulness. And so I'm hungry, but that glow that you see is I'm finally in the meditation that I do in mindfulness. You know, you take these deep breaths and you exhale, and you, as you're releasing, you envision Pandit Dasa, who's a mindfulness guru, who is the one that really turned me on to mindfulness about 4 or 5 years ago. I imagine a beach ball floating out to the sea. That's the kind of exhalation I did when Amazon said, congratulations, you're an author. And as someone told me, I was an author when I finished the book and said, it is good. Now, I'm not God. I took his words. I ain't trying to say I'm God. I'm just made in his image and likeness. But when I finished it and I said, it is good, I was an author then. When Amazon said, congratulations, I became a published author. And it feels amazing. And that's the glow I hope that you see. I hope I drank some water too. And that, you know, my dad would be saying, "What, you ain't drinking no water." So I hope I drank some water too. And that's what's glow. That's where the glow is. But I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We're at 7:08, and I appreciate all of you that are staying here. Will you click share right now just to engage some other people? I know people will watch the replay. People on LitRing, thank you for having me. People on LinkedIn, people will watch afterwards. This is the drive time home for some people, or the time that they're switching on a Friday evening, having that glass of wine or having that beer. I'm not mad at you. I do want you to, though, look at my author spotlight and understand that Marcus Holmes is the HR Passion guy and is an author, but he's just a grateful guy who loves the Lord from Detroit, Michigan, who hopes that you will consider purchasing his book, that I can further the work of gratefulness in my community, in this world, and in organizations at large. I've also been working on an app called Gratitude Stations. I use gratitude there because it's more aspirational. The vision of the Gratitude Stations app is that every workstation will be a place of gratitude. So see how that's aspirational, because you're going to be in that cubicle, in that office, in your home office for some time. You're going to be over time in a state of being. That's why it's gratitude, it's aspirational. And so that has not come to market yet, but the book came before God does all things well, is all I can tell you. God does all things well. I cried when I had developers that told me, I will not help you unless you have this amount of money, because I'm not a coder. I cried when I tried to get into one of the coding classes and the registration was due at 3:00 on that day, and I submitted it at 3:10, and they told me, I'm sorry, you're too late. I cried. I mean, literally cried tears. I should have been before 3. I absolutely should have been. But I thought 10 minutes would not kill the world. Forgot to submit it. Said, oh, let me go ahead and submit it. They took my money, and then said, I'm sorry, it was 3:10. We're keeping to it. I cried because I said, Lord, what are you saying? Well, one thing was saying be on time, be before time. But one thing was saying, one delay is not my denial. I still don't have a developer this moment who's willing to do it for equity, which is the way it's going to get done. But this book might help me do it, and I might not even have to have a developer. Come on, book. Right? And so the book is out there, and then the aspiration is out there to impact organizations around the world. I want to impact organizations around the world with the Gratitude Stations app. And God does all things well. So in that, I wanted to say to you, as a transition to a little more reading, and then I'm going to go into some of the characters in the book. Don't you dare give up. Come on, click share. Don't leave me. Don't you dare give up. Don't give up because it didn't happen the way you thought it could. Own and accept anything that's your responsibility, your shortcomings. Own it. Own it. And then say, okay, Lord, I'm correcting my part, and let him do the rest. Now, I know there are people that are not people of faith, and I respect that your choice is not to be a person of faith. And you might not have faith in God, but you should have faith in yourself and in the process. So have faith. Hold on. Don't give up. You may have to cry sometimes. I cried sometimes. Now, I already, be honest with you, losing people like I lost them awakened tears in me that I had not experienced before. I'm a fairly emotional person. I'm fairly expressive. Anybody that knows me said, boy, is he expressive. But it awakened emotions in me that I didn't know what to do with. So I was not, foreign to emotions, right? But I cried and lamented over things that didn't work when I thought that they were going to work, at the time that I thought that they should work, at the time that I thought was just right, that I thought it was my last chance effort. If it didn't happen here, then it was never going to happen. If I couldn't get this connection, it was over. If I didn't have this person as an influencer, I wouldn't get out there. If I didn't have this, if I didn't. And I have cried about some of those things. So I know what it is to want something and it not happen the way you want it and cry about it. I am sitting here today to tell you that although I'm not number one in the largest category, where names like Adam Grant and James Clear are number one, I'm not there yet. I'm number one in a smaller category, and I'll climb in other categories based on how you share this book and help me promote it. And it's not the result because I'm the greatest writer. I don't know that. I'm just testing it out, right? Every author's first book is a test, could be. And hopefully I will grow more as a writer as I write more. But it is published. I am an author. And I promise you, even this book that just started last year, there were times along this journey during this pandemic, I said, I forget it. I can't complete this. I can't do it. It's going to be like the other three. I'm never going to finish it. And when I got toward what I wanted to be the end and started to get a fresh look at some of the text and start to re-edit some things before I submitted it to my editor, then God was awakening me to say, this is how you can approach those other three to finish them. Because you started those then doesn't mean that those were finished. You finished this first, now you get a chance to double back to finish those others. But he awakened in me that desire to write again. And I said, oh, wow, this is going to happen. And I went from this is going to happen to this is happening. And I went from this is happening to it's happening. And I went from it's happening to it happened. And I want to encourage every one of you. It might not be a book for you. It might be your music. I got music I want to put out. I want a Tony Award before I go to heaven. I take a Grammy too. I got other dreams, and because I'm going to be 51, they're not gone. And this tells me, Marcus, you just might be able to do some of those other things too. I'm telling you, if you wanted to be that prize speaker who travels the world. I was talking to a speaker earlier, and he was talking about some of the engagements and some of the amounts that, organizations pay him to come and to speak. And he said, brother, I don't know why I'm not sure why you're not doing this. And I said, oh, shoot. So many things. I don't want you to give up. I want you to be grateful for everything that God has given you. He gave it to you for a reason. And it might tarry for a moment or a season, but it shall come to pass. It shall come to pass. Yes, I see all these wonderful comments. Dreams don't die till we do, and sometimes they happen posthumously. I am certain, Valencia, that some of those beloved angels who have gone on, some of their dreams are coming true through me. And that's all that I can say about that without falling out. I'm just not going to fall out. I'm the guest on the VIP reader room, and I want to come back, and I don't want them to be like, you just fall out. No, I don't want to do that. But I'm excited to be here. I am going to read a little bit more. I'm not going to read everything because we're at 7:17, even though I could read a couple more things. I talked earlier. Again, I'm a James Patterson fan. So when you read my fiction stuff, because I got fiction books too that will be coming out, know that I've been influenced to some degree by this great writing. This is another one of his books, The Lifeguard. I enjoy a murder mystery, a thriller, and sometimes I don't mind a little gory and horror. This has a little of that. If you can imagine it in a book, I can. I would love this to have been a movie. It could still be one, I suppose, but it was the New York Times, Washington, Publisher Weekly, Entertainment Weekly, Wall Street Journal, US Today, number one. Number one. And that's one of my goals. A James Patterson goal is number one in these areas. So I want you to know how I'm thinking. And the way I get there is when you share it, I'm sharing it with everybody I know, but I know some of you. I need you to share it, make a post about it. Now, this isn't his first book. I understand that. Maybe your first book doesn't go gold, right? But it can. And it can open doors, as you heard Ingrid write. And so I'm going to read a small excerpt from this one. Because I have a couple of others I need you to know. Maybe won't. I'll read you the back of it. Autumn is here. Thank you, sweetie girl. I showed them a picture of me, you, and Blue. That was for the contest that we did earlier. I think we'll have to announce the winner pretty soon. It's the wildest thriller yet from one of America's most influential authors. Working as a lifeguard at a luxurious Florida resort, Ned Kelly meets the woman of his dreams. It feels perfect in every way, except that she's used to caviar and Manolo Blahniks, and he's used to burgers and flip-flops. So when Ned's cousin offers to cut him in on a fast break and enter job, Ned can't turn it down. Excuse me. The risk is high and the reward is even greater, $5 million. But the robbery goes devastatingly wrong. Forced to run away from his town and the woman he's fallen in love with, Ned knows that only distance and secrecy can save his life. But who is pursuing him? The FBI? Whoever sabotaged the heist? Or is it all somehow tied into his new love and his oldest enemies? So this is another one of those great reads. For time's sake, I'm not going to read that one, but it does inform you some of the imagery, some of the scene development, some of the character development has influenced my style of writing for fiction, not nonfiction, because nonfiction, of course, is not fictitious, even though in my book, the accounts that you're reading in this gratefulness journey every day are all real, but I sanitized them so that it wouldn't have the feel of fiction. Okay, so some of the rich imagery is there, but not over imagery, not too evocative. Okay, because it really is a self-help to help you, but there are stories in there. You know, life is filled with stories, and I hope that I told some good stories. They're all true stories, and we're able to bear some of my heart in those stories. Autumn is my sweetest girl in the world, and we were talking last night about whether or not she should write a review because she's biased. And sometimes if people see the last name of the person who is the author, they know it's a family member. But she writes, if you haven't read the book, it's amazing. As someone who is a character in the book, it made me emotional and want to transform my life to become more grateful. Well, sweetie, I am just so grateful that, as you know, I am so grateful and you make Uncle so proud. I'm grateful for our relationship and I love you to pieces. I want to have a book signing in person, but you know, with this COVID going on, I'm a little concerned for people in general. That's why I'm trying to work out something with Amazon that I think would really power this virtual book signing. There is a way to do it. Amazon hasn't caught up to my thinking. And I believe if God gives me ideas, it's for them to manifest. And so stay tuned. I'm working on something that could be, you know, both virtual and in person when it's more safer for us to get together. Of course, interviews and book tours, all of that stuff I want to be able to do. And I know that people like paperbacks. That's why we have a paperback. Sandra saying, yes, it is. I just want my book signed. Well, you know, I can sign books. We can do some, we'll work it out for those that are getting the paperback. But then, you know, if I do that, of course, there are people, thankfully, that are buying the book that don't live right by me. So then they're like, well, what about mine? So that's why I'm trying to work something out with Amazon. All right. So Francis Chan and Danae Yankowski, one of the New York Times bestsellers, is called Crazy Love, Overwhelmed by a Relentless God. I like this book, and there is a chapter in it that says you might not finish this chapter. So I'm going to read just a part of that, just a part of it. Christina, you're telling already. You're telling already. In the chapter 2, excuse me. Chapter 2 is entitled, You Might Not Finish This Chapter. You could die before finish reading this chapter. I could die while you're reading it today at any moment. But it's easy to think about today as just another day. An average day where you go about life concerned with your to-do list, preoccupied by appointments, focused on family, thinking about your desire and needs. On the average day, we live caught up in ourselves. On the average day, we don't consider God very much. On the average day, we forget that our life truly is a vapor. But there is nothing normal about today. Just think about everything that must function properly just for you to survive. For example, your kidneys. The only people who really think about their kidneys are people whose kidneys don't work correctly. The majority of us take for granted our kidneys, liver, lungs, and other internal organs that we're dependent upon to continue living. What about driving down the road at 65 miles per hour? Only a few feet away from cars going the opposite direction at the same speed. Someone would only have to jerk his or her arm and you would be dead. I don't think that's morbid. I think it's reality. It's crazy that we think today is just a normal day to do whatever we want with. To those of us who say today or tomorrow we will go this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business and make money, James writes, why do you not even know what will happen tomorrow? What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. That's from James 4:13 and 14. When you think about it, that's a little disconcerting. But even after reading those verses, do you really believe you could vanish at any minute? That perhaps today you will die? Or do you instead feel something invincible? Frederick Buechner writes, intellectually, we all know that we will die, but we do not really know it in the sense that the knowledge becomes a part of us. We do not really know it in the sense of living as though it were true. On the contrary, we tend to live as though our lives would go on forever, unquote. Crazy Love, he won't be mad if you buy my book instead of him, but I wanted you to get an idea of some of the things that I read and have read as an author. And some of it informs my thinking, some of it challenges my thinking, some of it shapes how I write, some of it I want to write differently, right? So I just wanted you to get some of that. Also, I've read and am rereading another New York Times bestseller called Radical Candor by Kim Scott. I think radical candor and crucial conversations are important conversations to have. And this one, I'm going to read just a small excerpt from it. And before I do that, I'd like for you to drop in the comments, what are you reading? I want to hear from some of you. Anybody on the VIP LitRing readers group, what are you reading? And any authors that have joined us, what are some of the things that inspire you that you have read? Of course, the Bible inspires me too. I read a little bit from Billy Graham, from Luke, from his book. There's a daily meditation, and the meditation for today was about love. And I didn't even plan it that way. That's love and stuff, right? Okay. Tell you a little bit about radical candor. From the time we learn to speak, we're told that if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. While this advice may work for everyday life, and it doesn't always there, it is, as Kim Scott has seen, a disaster when adopted by managers. Scott earned her stripes as a highly successful manager at Google and then decamped to Apple, where she developed a class on optimal management. She has earned growing fame in recent years with her vital new approach to effective management, the radical candor method. Radical candor is the sweet spot between managers who are obnoxiously aggressive on one side and ruinously empathetic on the other. It's about providing guidance, which involves a mix of praise as well as criticism, delivered to produce better results and help employees achieve. Great bosses have strong relationships with their employees, and Scott has identified 3 simple principles for building better relationships with your employees. Make it personal, get stuff done, she used an expletive there, understand why it matters. Radical Candor offers a guide to those bewildered or exhausted by management, written for bosses and anyone who has one. It's a great read. I was going to talk a little bit about the Radical Candor and developing trust, but I am, in the interest of time, going to not read some of it. Developing trust is not simply a matter of do X, Y, and Z and you have a good relationship. Like all human bonds, the connection between bosses and the people who report to them are unpredictable and not subject to absolute rules. But I have identified 2 dimensions that, when paired, will help you to move in a positive direction. The first dimension is about being more than just professional. It's about giving a damn, excuse the French, sharing more than just your work self and encouraging everyone who reports to you to do the same. It's not enough to care only about people's ability to perform a job. To have a good relationship, you have to be your whole self and care about each of the people who work for you as a human being. It's not just business, it is personal and deeply personal. I call the dimension care personally. When I first read this, it challenged me because I like to keep work separately from my life. I am a director of music. I love singing. I'm expressive. I am tenderhearted. I am big-hearted. And sometimes in human resources, that can be misunderstood. So I had worked very diligently to have a very professional, pristine, clean-cut image that was just professional because people tended to respect it, but it also tended to intimidate some. And so once you let people know that you care personally, now in other areas of my life, I venture to say that most of the people that I work with, and a lot of them are in volunteer capacities, but a lot of people I work with understand that I care personally for them because I allowed those walls to be let down in different ways than I would necessarily. And so this challenged me because I said, that's absolutely not right. That's her thinking. But it made me rethink, how can I up my game in showing the people that work with me and for me that I care personally. It continues to be a challenge because I like my life separate. I like to leave work at work and come home. But I realize in leadership that the more people know about you helps them to understand you. And I am a person that needs to be understood. And so this has been something that's called to me, to challenge me to rethink that style of leadership and to think about how I can demonstrate caring personally. I chose that passage because it's similar with the gratefulness journey. See, people think when I say gratefulness is some soft feely, just feel good and you'll be better. Gratefulness is not always pretty because gratefulness involves you remembering what you have lost or sacrificed and remembering it in the moment and then calling for the gratefulness that matches that. So in a situation where you're passed over for a promotion, you should feel and experience that, but you should also be grateful that you have the skills that you demonstrated to yourself that you're ready to go to another level. And even if someone else doesn't think that you're ready, your job now is to be grateful that you're ready and to ready your step even the more. See, you could walk away from that angry at the interview panel, and you can do that still. You could walk away thinking that you're not good enough, and you could do that still. Or you can affirm to yourself that not my time, but God's way. And in this, there is a lesson for me to be grateful for. See, that's not just about Philly. That's about a real moment that you have in life when you are disappointed by something that happens. You have to care about it personally. You can't suppress it. You can't pretend it didn't happen. You have to be vulnerable to it. That includes failures. When you fail, and when we fail, and we will, you have to be vulnerable and transparent to it. And that's not easy. But if you do it in the moment and say, now, what is the lesson that I can be grateful from just embarrassing myself on something I should have known and didn't, or whatever it is? Find the gratefulness in it. It is talking and speaking to your environment, but you're not positioning yourself to hear it. And use it to train your brain to create a shortcut that when you fail, you go to gratefulness moments. And that, my friends, is the gratefulness journey in a nutshell, and changes your life. Now, I said in a nutshell, but you can't have all of it. You got to crack the nut and get the book, right? So I gave you some, but you got to still get the book. So that's why I chose that passage of Kim Scott's Radical Candor. Kim Scott will not be mad if you buy my book instead of Kim Scott's. She'll be no, she might be mad, but she'll be just fine. She's a bestseller. She'll be fine at one sale. She don't get it. But I wanted to share the books that I've read. I love it, Autumn. I'm reading The Gratefulness Journey every day. Only $6.99 on Kindle. Get yours now. It's within a click. And the paperback is available now. It's $11.99. Both of them are small investments, 2 cups of coffee at best. And it's a reading that you can read over and over again. It is about my personal, and you don't get all of the details about my personal in this first book, because again, I want to whet your appetite. But you get enough to understand some of the stuff I've been through. And you get to understand a little bit of the psychology that I believe is related to that. And you get these 3 things that I want you to create as a habit. And if you get those 3 things as a habit, you could never pay enough for the return that you're going to get on that $6.99 and $11.99 investment. So thank you, Autumn. You're a publicist. Read the wonderful self-help book so in turn you may help others become as grateful as you. Come on, Autumn. Come on, uncles, baby. You better sell a book. You getting commission. I'm teasing you, baby. I love you. From this book, and then I will be done with my authors, and I will go into, as we're coming to the close, 2 small pieces of this book. It is called Unlocking Happiness at Work. I was at the American Society of Employers conference, an HR-related organization with which our company is affiliated. I'm an HR professional. I believe in personal development for myself and others. And I met the featured speaker. And I was so impressed with her presentation. I went up to her afterwards. I said, I'm buying your book, and I'd like for you to autograph it. I have some other books that I've written. And she cut me off and said, so are you going to finish them? And I was like, what? Oh, you're going to finish them. She autographed my book and said, keep in touch with me. And so I did. I found her on LinkedIn. I got her email address. And when I started writing this book, I said, I would love for you to, review it or write. She said, well, I'm in the middle of writing my next book, but depending on how the schedule goes, but Marcus, I'm sure you got it. Just don't stop writing. I'm really influenced by her scientific background around gratitude science and happiness science and positive psychology. It's unlocking happiness at work. And I would venture to say you could unlock happiness at home and your community. Some of these principles are widespread. Jennifer Moss is a best-selling author as well. So I'm going to have to say she won't mind if you buy mine instead of hers. How a data-driven happiness strategy fuels purpose, passion, and performance. And I'm who? The HR passion guy. I'm going to read just a part of 2 sections. This is on page 68, The Attitude of Gratitude. According to Vanessa vote, the activity was simple. All employees were able to list and describe things that they were grateful for. Therefore, while it may be that many people tend not to naturally focus on the things they're grateful for at work, when they're encouraged to do so, they can. It may be that at first, employees need to be explicitly asked to focus on their surroundings, but over time, this should create a habit or a pattern where employees begin to more automatically think about what they're grateful for at work. As we're learning, habits are powerful. They can help us to be higher performing by taking the extra stress off of our already busy brain and give us the bandwidth we need for other areas of our life. Thank you, Annie. I'm glad you're reading Cicely Tyson, and thank you for joining us. So we talk about something similar in the book because you can create these shortcuts. Your brain is looking for shortcuts so that you can have more bandwidth. God created your brain to find shortcuts to to make things on automaticity, to make things automatic so that you can spend that brain power on other things. And you have tons of habits that are on automatic that you don't pay attention to at all, that you don't give much thought to, that you just do every day. And our book talks about how you might capitalize on those when you're adding new habits and getting rid of old ones. Okay, so I think it's important that you understand that you can pick up a habit and break some habits if you're able to allow your brain to create shortcuts. And the brain is looking for cues. It's craving for these ways to reorganize itself for shortcuts. It's literally your brain changing when you opt for shortcuts, when you do things that build muscle memory that say, this is good, we want more of that. Your brain gets that signal and says, let's make it a shortcut so you'll have more bandwidth for the complex things. Okay? Then one more quote from this, piece from this rather, engaging the whole person. The average person spends 90,000 hours at work over their lifetime. But arguably, since the conception of work, we've made an exhaustive effort to keep our work lives and our home lives separate. In the past, there was a solid rationale for bifurcating these two existences. Less than a century ago, rural farming was still an important occupation, and the working class was often divided according to socioeconomic status, with the wealthiest making up only a small percentage of the total labor force. Most of the working class struggled to make a decent living in factories, shipyards, and farming communities. Men, women, and children worked in factories, often receiving pay that was incommensurable with their labor. But overall, for many, work was just another harsh and intolerable day to endure. It still feels like for many, work isn't that much more tolerable, despite the improvement in labor practices and work conditions. We will mostly analyze what it means to show up to work as a whole person and how to encourage others to do the same. And she goes on to talk about bringing your whole self to work. If you watched our LinkedIn live earlier with transformational coach Dwayne Bennett, he talked about seeking out work that aligns with who you are authentically. So you find a company and a job role that reconciles as neatly as it can with who you are authentically. That way, you can bring your full authentic self to work. Because in this day and time, those harsh demarcations don't exist as neatly as they did before. And your job, your function requires you to bring the best of yourself forward. And so you have to engage your whole self. Now, put that in the context of gratefulness. If a part of yourself is becoming more grateful and embarking upon more grateful living, you have to bring the best of that evolution forward into your work, into your relationships, into your church, into your community. You can no longer compartmentalize it because gratefulness is a contagion and we want it to be. The more grateful that you are, the more gratefulness you attract, the more grateful people you attract, and the more ungrateful people you infect and affect to become grateful. And you can't do that if you compartmentalize gratefulness or attempt to in one area of your life. You know, for those of you that are in church or ever been in church and ever been in a church where people are emote and express their freedom, they praise, they pray in the spirit, they move, they dance. And if ever you've witnessed that, it was almost like a pot boiling over. They couldn't contain it. When you have that kind of gratefulness, you will explode and erupt if you try to contain it in one area of your life. You will do better to allow it to permeate every area. Again, this is Jennifer Moss. I don't think Jennifer Moss would be mad. If she will, she'll let me know if she sees this. But I'm telling you, buy my book. Okay. I'm going to share the screen with some pictures. It's 7:45 and we're closing at 8. We're grateful to the LitRing VIP readers and authors, and we hope that you will share this widely on your page. I'll come back and answer any questions that you might have, and any questions here, I'll answer those in the comments. I think that what we're going to do as it relates to the gift we're going to give, I only saw 2 pictures, so we're going to give a $15 gift card to Catherine Phillips Sanders and to Jan Holmes Boy. Both of you will get Amazon gift cards for your photos of Carter, who is my god baby, my furry god baby, and to Catherine for her nephew, who looks like Mr. President. Wonderful pictures, and I want to thank you for participating in that contest. I want to talk to you in these last few minutes about a few of the characters. I won't go into depth into the stories because some of the stories are in the book. That's why I want you to buy it. But I do want you to learn a little bit more about me through some of the pictures of them. And so we talk in the book about folks that have meant a lot to us. And I'm going to start with my parents. I'll show you a picture of my parents. That's my mom and dad when they were younger. They were almost married for 60 years. When they say opposites attract, these are 2 people who were polar opposite. My mother, sweetest person I think you ever want to meet. Now, she got a sting to her, but she's the sweetest person you ever want to meet. And not that my dad couldn't be sweet, but he was fiery by nature. As I am expressive, he was expressive. I get that expression from him. If there's any sweet kind-heartedness to me, I'm sure I got it from Princess. All of the other things that you know about my expressive behavior, hey, Herbert Holmes was my dad. And they were a funny and interesting couple. I learned some wonderful lessons about them, from them, and through them that I talk about more individually in this book, but in the future book about gratefulness lessons in your relationship with parents, you're going to hear more about their relationship and my relationship to them as a result of those relationships or their relationships with each other, and a little bit of their relationship with some of their siblings and the gratefulness journey lessons from my parents. That's Herbert and Princess Holmes. So people often ask, even my niece Tammy asked me just the other day, I don't have it on right now, but I've got a gorgeous ring that I wear. I'm not married. I'm still available. You'll have to be able to have children. That's a big thing. I know Autumn is not happy to hear that. She does not want me to have children. She is my only child. I love you. But if I get married, there's going to be some kids. I'm like Abraham. Take whatever reference you need from that. And that took me right out. That took me clean out and sane. That took me clean out. I was going to say something, I'm sure, about my parents and my relationships with them. I'm going to stick right there with that. And what I will say about, I was talking about the ring. Thank you so much. So I wear this ring and people always ask, are you married? No, I'm not married, but I wear the ring because they're gone and I would have never envisioned them being gone. Now, your parents will probably go before you, but if you learn to love them like they love you, and they love very differently. My father loved very differently than my mother loved. But it's that sense of belonging. I always say, I am the son of Princess, because that's my mother's name, and the prince of her group. So the ring is just for me a signet that I'm Holmes born and proud, with Coleman blood running through me. I didn't get all the Coleman full hair, but I got the Coleman good smile and skin. And so that's what that means for me. And I talk a lot in the book about the gratefulness journey being birthed through me by my mother. And she taught me an important lesson, which I've shared many times, that if you experience loss of a family member, loss of a home to foreclosure, loss of a job that you feel like you were done wrong, you have a right to grieve that. And you have a right to grieve it as deeply as you want. But you must also reserve the right to be thankful for, grateful for everything that you have left and everybody that you have left. And that's what started the gratefulness journey every day for me. So thank you, Princess Holmes, for the queenly way in which you ushered me into gratefulness. This book is in your memory, and this book makes me proud that I was able to complete it for the first woman I ever loved. I am grateful. And so I'm showing you just a picture of my mom. This is a picture that I show sometimes. It's a funny picture for me, but it's my mom and me. Now, at the church that I grew up, there would be these contests, and we used to raise money by selling subscriptions to Ebony and Jet. And this year, in particular, they thought that the winner, they didn't expect me to be the winner. Clearly, the crown is a queen's crown, not a king's crown. And when I got it, that look on my face is because I wanted a Burger King crown. I knew the difference between a king's crown and a queen's crown. And I didn't want that crown. But my mother said, you won, just smile. And so that's what's happening in this picture. And my mother was always telling me that. Just smile. It'll be okay. Just smile. It'll make a difference. And I learned so much about her, this glamorous, beautiful woman, and smiling. This is another picture of her that I love. She loved to wear hats, and she loved to go to church and loved to get dressed up. And she loved, when I bought her suits, the skirt had to go below the knee when she sat, or she did not want to wear the suit. And I can't tell you the number of suits that I had to trade in because they didn't come below the knee when she sat down. She was a ladies' lady and believed that you were supposed to be of a certain order and skirt and length. And I just loved that about her. She was truly my princess. You'll hear in the book me talk about my sister, Vanessa, who I adored. And I have two great representations of her in this earth. Her son, Felix, who I call the apple of my eye, my nephew, though we're only 5 years apart. And my niece, Tammy, who I call my princess. She came home in a red dress and she was my princess ever since. And so Vanessa, I will show her picture, taught me great lessons on gratefulness and graciousness. And I'm grateful for every lesson, and I can't wait to share more of them with you. I'm gonna double back and show you a picture of my dad by himself. That was at a time when my dad's eyes were turning blue. And I hope one day, Daddy, that my eyes turn blue too. I want to also show you a picture of my brother, Stephen. When I was young, I was a nuisance to him. I wanted to be just like him. I believed I still believe that he was our favorite sibling. He was the favorite of the siblings, of most of the siblings, but he was my parents' favorite. I still believe that. My parents would never admit to it, but there was just a difference about Stephen. And he was called the professor because he was very smart and very talented, played music, taught me singing and taught me ear training and taught me a lot of the stuff I know about music. And I wanted to be so much like him. I thoroughly miss him and wish he were here with me to celebrate this book. I know he would say, "You done good." And he'd add that Southern drawl that we would sometimes mimic from my dad. My sister Adrian was so beautiful. Autumn reminds me of a perfect blend of her mother, Adrian, and my sister, Vanessa. She has Vanessa's sweetness and Adrian's sass, jazz, and pizzazz. Adrian taught me math. She taught me how to stand up for myself. She taught me how to fight because she fought most of my enemies. Anybody in the neighborhood could tell you that. And there are great lessons that I want to share in the siblings book, but I just give you a little bit of my sister Adrian in the book because so much of her is in Autumn, and I am so proud. I would never want my sister not to be here, but I'm so grateful that she left a legacy here with us. And here is just another picture of her. We were 3 years apart. And this is one of my close friends. His name is Anthony Howard, and he is now an angel on the balcony on the other side. He's one of a group of friends that we've been friends for close to 40 years, 35 years. And we were roommates at one time. Anthony is mentioned in the book. And he and Adrian were both Geminis and Prince fans. And I was a Michael Jackson fan. And we could argue for hours as to who was the best. I miss those arguments, but I'm grateful that I understand what true friendship is from some awesome relationships. And I can't wait to share with you in the gratefulness journey around friends and coworkers. My only remaining sibling is Herbert Keith Holmes, and you will hear about him in later books about sibling relationships. But most of the characters in the book, he is not in this book, but most of the characters in the book are people that are no longer with us. But I just wanted you to see I do have one sibling left, and I'm grateful for him. These next several pictures are of the sweetie girl in the whole wide world. I'll first show you a picture of her with her mom, and then some other pictures of her that are either by herself or with me. I tell her all the time that my gratefulness journey has been so enriched by having her in my life. It's given me an opportunity to be a parent, though I would have never given up my sister to be one, but God allowed other plans. And Autumn has become an extraordinary young woman, and I'm proud of who she is. She is a University of Michigan grad. She is working and on her own and not having to rely on Uncle, even though Uncle would gladly do it. I am proud of the head that's on that shoulders, proud of that pretty face, but most importantly, I'm proud of the beautiful, grateful heart that Autumn has become that embodies who she is. I'm sorry, I said I was going to first start with her and her mom. When she was a little girl, I talk a little bit about Autumn in the book. That's Adrian and Autumn. Of course, she is grown up and to a lovely, beautiful young lady whom I adore. And this is where we started, with her, me, and her furry baby Blue. We're at 7:59, and I want to thank you and remind you that you can get your copy now, ebook or paperback, on Amazon, The Gratefulness Journey Every Day. We are working with Amazon for a virtual way that we might be able to really engage you so that you can do all of the things that we would do at a book signing. And I hope that you will share widely. I thank again LitRing for allowing me to be a VIP on their platform. Thank you all. Thank you, Becky and team. Thank all of the authors and readers. Thank all of those that are on Facebook, on Marcus R Holmes, on YouTube events, on the Love and Stuff page, on LinkedIn Live. I thank you all. I'm just going to drop back at the comments and just thank you so much. I'm going back through the comments. I wasn't afraid, but I thought if I moderated that, I would be in tears. All right. So, Valencia saying my friend. Yep, Valencia is a dear heart to me, and her and Stefan were great friends. And I often tell the stories. My parents weren't in music. My dad could sing, but he was not in music. And I got to go places where the young adults went because I could sing, number one. But number two, because these two, Stefan and Valencia, and Stefan did not want me to go. He did not like having a little brother tagging along. But my mom would say, let him go. He wants to be like you. I don't want him to be like me. But Valencia ended up being the one to keep an eye on me at those state rehearsals. And I experienced some things, but a lot of things I didn't because Valencia had a watchful eye. So I always think of her when I think of Stefan. And so I'm glad she is here because Stefan is not here. And even in this moment, sometimes it's hard to come to terms with that. But I think he would be proud, and I am proud to be his brother. Thank you all. It's 8:01. I think my time is up. It's supposed to be up at 8. Thank you, Sandra, one of my dearest friends in the world. Thank you, Catherine. I'm so glad you came. Pastor Ring, thank you so much. You are right. I'm an author and I'm your mentor. And Pastor Ring is one of my mentees who is in Uyu, Nigeria. So I've got mentees on another continent, and I'm uber proud to be a mentor, especially to Pastor Ring, who has a phenomenal idea that he wants to do to bring technology and sustainability, renewable energy, automotive technology to his area. And I'm going to do my best to connect him with resources that can help him bring those dreams to pass. And I'm proud to be your mentor. Thank you, Valencia. I'm just very pleased that, again, Princess is speaking now. I'm oftentimes thinking about all that I've lost, all of the losses of people. But Princess reminds me to be grateful for those I have left. And so I've got people like Valencia left. I've got Sandra left. I would never want Anthony or Stefan to be gone, but I have Sandra and Valencia and others. And so I am eternally grateful. It doesn't mean on this gratefulness journey that I don't have tears. I do. I have moments in the shower. That's my favorite cry place because I think the water comes into harmony with my tears. And you'll hear about that in the next book. Again, this book was to kind of whet your appetite and give you the principles that we can build on, lay the foundation that we can build upon. But so I don't want you to discourage from the tears. You're going to have tears. If you lose anything that's of value to you, your emotional response to that may be tears. It may be screaming. It may be yelling. But as you get into gratefulness and get on this walk, you find different ways to navigate so that you are still able to move forward and the goodness and grace that God intended for you. God intended for you to keep moving forward, regardless to what has happened on your journey. Never stop. Keep moving forward, and you will experience a grateful life. Thank you all so much. It has been a glorious afternoon, evening, wherever you are around the world. Maybe it's morning. One more time, I'm going to shout it out. If you have not purchased the book, please do. If you have, please write a review. I need your review on Amazon. And I need you to use those posters, those photos to create your own social media posts to let people know that you have purchased it and that you are now sharing it and recommending it to them. Thank you all for joining me. Look forward to another author spotlight that we will do as we continue this journey to publicize and promote the book. And I hope that I have your support to keep pushing, and invite others to watch this by clicking share. Have a wonderful evening. And thanks again, LitRing. This was lit. Thank you so much. I'm going to put some lits in the comments if I can get some emojis there. And I'll drop the link just in case there are people that do not have the link. I want to make sure that you have the link to the Gratefulness Journey every day. So let me just drop that link, and then I will bid you a great evening. I hope that you will have a grateful weekend, and I hope that you will share with me what you're doing on this grateful weekend, and we will continue to keep the comments and conversation going. All right, I'm almost done. LitRing, thank you for your patience. All right, I hope that you can see that in the comments. If not, I'm going to share it over here on this platform. Okay, in case you don't see that, I'm showing it there, and I'm going to show it here just so that you'll have it in case you want to share it, in case you haven't had a chance to share it. Here you go. Let me make sure you do. Please share it. I'm sharing it on all platforms right this moment. Sharing it, sharing it, sharing it. It's already on the Love and Stuff page and on YouTube events. Thank you so much. All right, fantastic. I see that it is populated. Fantastic. This has been a VIP LitRing Reader Edition. We hope to come back to this platform where there are over 13,000 authors and readers. And we hope that many more of them will engage with our content. And you can follow me on Facebook at Marcus R Holmes, at the Love and Stuff page, at LinkedIn Live. I'm Marcus R Holmes or HR Passion. On YouTube events, I'm HR Passion. On Twitch TV, HR Passion. Thank you, Annie. That's right, author. I'm author and always singer. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Have a grateful evening.